Good afternoon, Albuquerque. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for organizing. Thank you for working tirelessly over this summer. And thank you all for showing up to say not one more. My name is Elizabeth Kistin Keller. I am proud to serve as the First Lady of Albuquerque. And I am particularly proud today to be able to welcome the students from Parkland on behalf of our entire city, on behalf of city councilors fighting hard, on behalf of state legislators working for this, and community members from all walks of life who have gathered here this afternoon to support the work you're doing and the work of young people all over our city and our state who are leading on these issues and reclaiming the path forward for a safe city and a safe state and a safe future for us all. So my most important duty today is to pass the mic to the young folks who are leading us forward in this effort. I am thrilled. I'm going to run through the list of organizations, and then as they speak, that we've got a number of great student organizations joining us today. We've got Students Demand Action, New Mexicans to Prevent Gun Violence, we've got a team from Fight for Our Lives. And of course, we have tremendous students from Parkland who have joined us on their trip all over the country to raise awareness and energy and demand action going forward. So I want to note, we have some folks who are going to introduce this mural behind us, but know that this is a gift to our community created by students from Albuquerque, Bernalillo, San Felipe Pueblo, Santa Ana Pueblo, Santo Domingo, and Zia Pueblo. And I'm going to turn it over right now to Amber Aguilar and Leticia Duahi, who have a poem to kick us off for today. Thank you.
Right, so I wrote this. Okay, I want those of you that have been victimized by gun violence to see this mural as something positive. To see that there are people who care about those who've been affected, strangers or not. All lives matter. The 8 of us pray that the tragedies that have occurred can only make you stronger with the strength to keep on going and to live the best life that you possibly can. But always keep those who passed on alive through the memories and know that they are shining down on each and every one of you. And remember, there are good days ahead. Thank you. Hello, hope you guys are having fun. Oh my god. I hope you guys are having fun or enjoying the mural, but this has been an incredible experience working with such amazing people. I am truly blessed to be given this opportunity because this project shines a light on a topic that is very sensitive. I participated in this mural hoping that it would bring positivity and hope back into the victims who have lost someone or has been affected by gun violence. Everyone, please take this as a stepping stone to start moving forward and keep loved ones who has passed away in your heart. It might be difficult to start again, but never impossible. Thank you.
Hi guys. I'm Michaela. I organized the Rio Rancho March for Our Lives. It was our first big event like that in Rio Rancho. We had more than 500 people show up. We want people to vote. That's the biggest thing right now. We're also trying to get as many people involved as possible, young people especially, because honestly, you should care about this. So, thank you.
Hey everybody, you guys having a good time? Okay, so my name is Teresa and I worked on the mural, and this is kind of a big topic for me because I lost my friend to this. She committed suicide, and I wanted to show people that we can do other things than put guns and do something negative. You know, we need to do something positive for our community. We need to help our community. And I can just give this all to my friends. You know, they're just my biggest supporters, and thank you for coming out today, and it means a lot.
Hi, my name is Brandon. Well, it was a big job working on this mural. It took a while, but we got through it, and it's just kind of like another puzzle to finally solve the problem that we're having in this country today. Hopefully we can make our future better, and, you know, one step at a time. So, yeah.
What's up, everybody? My name is Jamin, and Jamin. What was I gonna say? Oh, well, this mural took me. Well, it was fun doing it, and I don't know. We just want a better place in the world. And that's what this mural is showing too. That's it.
Hello everyone, I'm Darylyn. I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to work on this mural along with all these people by my side. We just wanted to shine light on a very dark subject, and yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Zoe Kraft, and I'm going into my senior year at La Cueva High School here in Albuquerque. So I work to co-found the nonprofit Fight for Our Lives, in addition to working alongside other nonprofits and co-hosting March for Our Lives Albuquerque. So first, on behalf of Students Demand Action, Fight for Our Lives, and everyone gathered here today, I wanted to take the time to thank the students from Parkland for coming to Albuquerque to share their stories and to continue to shed light on the issue of gun violence locally and nationally, as well as working to bring awareness to the key impact of voting to create change. It's time to say that enough is enough. It's time to truly come together around the issues that youth of color and other marginalized youth face, and to reject those who say that this is a simple issue. It's time for a movement that will amplify the voices of youth from a diverse set of backgrounds and truly work to create lasting change. It's past time that our voices are heard. I first became involved in organizations working to combat gun violence right after the shooting in Parkland. This tragedy was a catalyst as I watched my friends and peers terrified to go to school every day. And once I became involved with the March for Our Lives movement, I began to see that gun violence is a much more complex issue than school shootings. Gun violence is the pattern of brutality at the hands of police. Gun violence is the disproportionately high rate of suicide among minority youth. Yes. Gun violence is children dying in our streets. Yes. As congressmen such as Steve Pierce continue to accept money from the NRA, as this dollar amount is divided by the number of students in our state, are our lives truly only worth 26 cents? It's time to take action and hold accountable those in power. You can sign up for a local chapter of Students Demand Action on the Everytown webpage, and you can amplify your voice and the voices of youth around you by participating in nonviolent direct actions such as those that Fight for Our Lives and Moms Demand Action have completed in the past. Seek out opportunities with organizations who will make your voice heard. If you're 17, you're eligible to register to vote today. By registering and voting out politicians who accept NRA money, we send a message to those in power that our lives are worth more than their campaign money. Together, we can continue to build this movement so that no child is afraid to go to school, no minority has to fear for their lives when encountering police, teenagers have access to mental health services and not a firearm when they feel like no one is listening. Together, not only as students, but as the future of this country, we can work to create a society where kids and minorities do not continue to die on our streets. Thank you.
Hello everyone, and thank you all for coming today. My name is Italia Alejandra Cioni. I'm a student organizer for Fight for Our Lives. Fight for Our Lives is a network of student activists across Albuquerque that work to uplift and empower our communities through civic engagement and nonviolent direct action. Our team has done many things this year, from organizing the March for Our Lives Albuquerque event to having a sit-in and occupying Albuquerque Public Schools headquarters, over them taking over $100,000 from the NRA. Our team has proven that students united can make a change, and you all continue to prove that today. On behalf of our team and all the other organizations involved today, we would like to thank the inspiring students from Parkland for taking the time to be here today. Welcome to Albuquerque. We would first like to start off by recognizing that we are all privileged settlers standing on stolen indigenous lands that once belonged to the Sandia and Izteca pueblos. New Mexico is one of 5 states in the country that is considered a minority-majority state, meaning our population of Hispanics and Native Americans outnumber that of our white counterparts. That being said, here in New Mexico, gun violence is no stranger to us. Not only have we seen 2 school shootings in the past 6 years alone, but our gun-related death rate continues to be 40% higher than the national average. But perhaps what sets us apart from the other large cities is the excessive brutal force and militarization displayed by Albuquerque Police Department. For a city of fewer than 600,000 people, Albuquerque has the highest rate of fatal shootings by police per capita in the United States, 8 times that of NYPD and nearly double that of Chicago's police department. Albuquerque police are so notorious for killing people that the city of Albuquerque has hosted the NRA's National Police Shooting Championship for nearly a decade. They will continue to do so this September when law enforcement officers and ICE agents from around the country come to compete for various awards.
Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down!
Fight for Our Lives has used our platform to uplift and empower the voices of youth of color whose communities continue to be the most impacted by gun violence. 70% of all youths under the age of 21 shot by APD were Native American, African American, and Hispanic identifying. Most of the officers involved in these cases have received minimal, if any, punishment, kept their jobs, and are still on our streets occupying our communities. Over the past few months, we have seen many false solutions proposed to aid the ongoing epidemic of gun violence, one of which includes putting more officers in our schools, more officers that will continue to prove that minorities are disproportionately affected by police brutality, that will put more youth in the school-to-prison pipeline. And in a state like New Mexico, where we provide education to over 6,000 DACA recipients, adding more officers in classrooms only adds to the unnecessary fear that these students and others already face every day. Far too often, the voices of youth of color are tokenized and exploited by others for political gain, yet still their voices go unheard. But together, we can end this pattern. Fight for Our Lives is urging that together, as students, we hold our law enforcement officers accountable for their actions and no longer consider it acceptable for law enforcement officers to use their badge as a license to kill. We must build community-based alternatives so that police are no longer relied on for armed agents of the state for protection. Unlike other states, New Mexico has an extensive amount of indigenous populations, with 25 tribes residing in New Mexico alone. We must remind ourselves that police institutions began in the U.S. as slave patrols seeking to kill or bring back runaway slaves. Its roots are of white supremacy, racism, colonialism, roots that are celebrated by our government today. When we talk about gun violence, we need to talk about Black communities, racism, and the Black Lives Matter campaign. We need to talk about undocumented communities facing brutalization and deportation. We need to talk about Indigenous communities surviving ongoing genocide and fighting to keep their cultures and languages alive for the next 20 years. Fight for Our Lives has a critical intersectional lens of working with all our marginalized communities, and we urge students group together doing similar work to do the same. Together, we can have meaningful discussions with people across varying backgrounds and work to establish and combat the root causes of gun violence in our communities. We are in a war against apathy, against ignorance, and against corruption. But it doesn't matter how the odds look now. It doesn't matter how many more people we need to join us, and it doesn't matter how long it will take. We will be the change. We already are the change, and you have all proven that today. And we must continue to be the change, with or without the approval or permission from those in power, for our loved ones who have fallen, and for the brave ones who have risen to let their voices be heard. Fight for Our Lives holds student activism meetings for youth in Albuquerque looking to get involved in the organizing community. If you're interested in joining us, you can text us. Are you ready?
Take out your phone.
At FFOLA to 81010. That's 81010 at FFOLA. Thank you. We'll see you in the streets.
Hi everyone, I just wanted to thank you again for coming out. My name is Michaela Heeb and I am a spoken word poet. I'm going to perform a piece for you. I wrote this piece right after the Parkland shooting. So an open letter to American terrorists and active shooters. I know us Americans are in a bit of a sticky situation. I know we don't have a good healthcare system, a solid education system, a stable government, a good president, equal rights, women's rights, LGBTQ+ rights, or access to cheap, healthy food. But some of us would at least like our safety. Some of us don't want nightmares polluted by your hands and the scent of gunpowder. I can't walk to school without you in the back of my mind. You are in Walmarts, bike lanes, churches, hotels, concerts, schools, offices, movie theaters, and just about everywhere else I look. I can't hear a child praise God without also knowing your name. I can't buy groceries without hearing your voice. I can't go to school without seeing your handprint. You forget that we were all watching. I was across the street, a state away, around the corner, in my bed. I saw it all. I have never lived a day without war, without these losses, burning crosses. I have never known a day without your violence, without tears, fears. My whole childhood looks like hiding underneath desks during lockdown drills. My dreams were reruns of that night's CNN headlines. Childhood looks like the first terror attack I watched from start to end in the 6th grade. Dear American terrorists and active shooters, what more do you want? What more do you want? You have begun a war of your own kind, poured our blood into the streets, even though we all bleed the same shade of American that you do. Death was poetic before we knew that it was not a choice we made, but a shot you took. Red blood, white sheets over body, blue lips. Blue lips with no air and white sheets and red blood, red, white, and blue, red, white, and blue. They send fireworks into the sky on the 4th of July. The people in the big houses and the beautiful neighborhoods point out the beauty in this patriotic tradition. Little do they know that this is what my neighborhood sounds like every night. They hear the pops in the summer sky and call it tradition. I hear the pops and fizzles of gunshots in the night and call it a habit, call it a war zone, call it a lack of concern for the lives of people like you and I. They kill us all and cry when we kneel during the national anthem, but it is hard to keep our knees locked in place and our chin held high when your gunshots bring us to our knees, leave us begging for whatever mercy you will give. How many sacrifices do you need before you will be satisfied? How many more bodies and broken schools? How many more times will I hear your excuses before someone decides to remove the guns from the hands of the murderers? How many times will we allow the men in suits to make examples out of us before realizing that they are arming the enemy? How many more? Dear American terrorists and active shooters, dear mom, dear dad, dear brother, dear sister, dear congressman, dear legislators, teachers and students, doctors and patients, single moms and dads, Mr. President, I am not sure what America you are praising because you have never given me the opportunity to know it. Through these eyes, your American dream looks more like a nightmare.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming today. Yate shike doshi dene eshi azar bigay nishya odone nishinigi tsui nishne pitani bashishin eshklishi dashiche tochini dashijinala. My name is Zaria Bigay. I am a part of the Navajo Nation, and gun violence has always been a thing in my life, and it's always been in my life, and for as long as I can remember. This is a poem I dedicated for today. I wrote it last night. I wanted this to be special, so I took the time last night to write this for everyone. "18, 18, 18. There's been 18 school shootings in this year alone. One being so close to my own community frightens me. It scares all of us, knowing that this is still happening, that it is still alive and well known at this point, and yet nothing has been said or done. We're fighting. We know that something must be done, it must be done, something must be said. We're still fighting. A child should never have to fight for their lives in more than one way. If high school wasn't already hard enough. But it's okay, because the promise of starting your new life awaits for you on the other side of those doors. It waits for you at the end of the aisle on that stage. My sister said once that it's all worth it. Yes, something still hits me heavy. The thought hits me hard, because I was raised never to leave anyone behind, whether I knew them or not. I could not leave anyone behind. Graduation day is the day that students wait for their whole lives, but for some it's closer than most. I myself still have 2 more years on my plate, but I'll always remember and keep in my thoughts. The lives of the possible world changers was cut short. Ambitious pace setters ready to go out into the world didn't know what was coming, and it never will. For the plans that they had for their lives, what they wanted to become is lost. What will it take? How many more lives has to be lost before our mourning president does something about it? He says he stands on us with even grounds, but where the hell is he? To lose someone is a breaking point that most of everyone has always felt. Your body is closing in on itself, tightening, 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 until it becomes hard to breathe, and you cannot talk without a shake in your voice. The Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. Why are these words suddenly more important than our lives? It's taken too long and gone too far. How many more students? How many more lives? I myself, like millions of other students, are afraid to walk around my school with the thought in the back of my head that my life isn't as important as words in an outdated text.
Hey everybody, how are you? My name is Alfonso Calderon, I'm 16 years old, and I'm from Parkland, Florida. Thank you for that, but now I'm going to ask you to clap for yourselves for actually showing up, which most people don't do. So you're probably wondering why Albuquerque, New Mexico, right? Right? Every place we go, the one question that every news reporter seems not to be shy about asking is, why are you here today? Right? So I'm going to tell you guys why I'm here today. I can't speak on behalf of everybody on my team because I'm not them, but I have my own story. So I guess it kind of started on February 14th, 2018. I'll speak louder. Can you hear me now? All right. I'll get Verizon. That's the. All right. So. Oh shit. Oh, okay. It's okay. So, on February 14th, 2018, it was at the end of the day in my 4th period class. I was in my favorite class, theater. Kind of nerdy, I know. Oh, we got some good people here. Well, in my theater class, we were rehearsing the children's show. Basically, there's an elementary school a road down, so we put on a show just for the kids every single year. And I remember it was 2:20. School gets out at 2:40, so we're about to stop rehearsing and singing and being stupid because that's what theater kids do. And I remember the fire alarm rang, which was kind of odd at the moment. I remember that earlier that same day in our 2nd period class, we'd had a fire alarm. And that's when things started getting a little bit strange. I looked towards the door because, as any high school student in America knows, you leave your class in a line and then you go to your place. So as kids started walking out of the classroom, I paced towards the door. I looked around and then all hell broke loose. The one thing I remember is screaming. Gunshots. Children fearing for their lives. I know I ran back inside my classroom as fast as I could and looked to where I should go. We didn't have a designated area, but we found the closet in the classroom where we keep all their props and trophies and things like that. And I remember seeing some of my best friends, people I consider family, crying, breaking down. Like they already knew what was happening before we had even been informed. Because the sad truth is, in America in 2018, every high school student knows if a school shooting is happening, it's not a new thing. It isn't surprising. I waited in the closet with my friends and my teacher. I remember my best friend. His name is Brian Herrera, the greatest man you'll probably ever meet, a soccer legend, a ladies' man. A tall, strong man who plays soccer, and you'd probably be thinking, oh, he's guarding the door, he's gonna be ready. Well, actually, Brian was praying. Not only was he praying, but he started calling his mom. And he told her, Mom, I love you. This might be the last time I ever talk to you, so I wanna say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything I've ever done to you. I'm sorry for ever disappointing you. I know minutes later, I gave my parents the same phone call. Then Brian started to cry. He was crying on my shoulder for about an hour. Then 2 more shots went off outside of her classroom. The one thing I can tell people about going through a school shooting, you never forget the sounds, the smells, the faces. Imagine being in a 10-foot closet with 60 kids for 4 hours. Imagine hearing gunshots outside of the classroom when people are having panic attacks, crying, and the only source of information you have is Twitter. After time passed, thank God, the SWAT team actually broke through the door. We didn't know that at the time. All we saw was an AR-15 pointed right at the kids who were scared of that happening. What we were asked is anybody armed? Is anybody hurt? Is the shooter here? After we all said no 3 times, we were released. They forced us to run out of our classroom, sprint across the street, and lie down and throw all of our backpacks in the middle of the street. That day changed me forever. As sad as the day where 17 people are senselessly murdered, there's no other way to go around. People were murdered feet away from me. It's just the counter protester, we're so fun. Well, yeah. The one thing that's kind of weird from one of those moments, as grim and as dark and as scary as it may be, the one thing that you feel inside is not hopelessness. I felt inspired. Because I knew exactly why this was happening. This was happening because a mentally insane 19-year-old was being allowed to carry an AR-15 when he shouldn't have been. because there weren't laws in the books. They just weren't there. And that's the truth. So, 2 days after the shooting, 2 days, some of my friends and I decided, yeah, this is never gonna happen again if we're up to it. So, we mobilized, we organized, and as young people, we knew what we had to do. So the truth is, why am I here? Well, it's definitely for the people I lost that day. It's definitely for my family and for people who I don't want to see hurt. But it's also for you. It's for people everywhere in this country who feel like they're hopeless and they can't do anything about it on this issue. And simply, that's just not the case. It isn't. I've been around this country for, I think, a few weeks now. I've gone through states like Iowa and North Dakota, places people have never even heard of. And trust me, I am inspired. When you think you can't do something, educate yourself. Start a club, start a group, start Fight for Our Lives. The truth is for too long in this country, young people have been told they can't do anything. Well, I guess this country forgot that James Monroe and other founding fathers were 18 when the revolution started. So, this is a bit of a different revolution, but it's happening, and our politicians in Washington, D.C. are not ready. So, before I go, remember a few things. Vote. If you don't want those guys in office, vote them out. If you don't like your local laws, if you don't like open carry, if you don't like people walking around your streets with an AR-15, go to your elected officials and tell them, this has to stop. If you're young and you think you can't do anything, well, I'm sorry, but that's just not true. Get off your ass and do something. Now, this is my story, but there are hundreds of thousands of millions of stories for young people and people who aren't young all across the country who are making a change. Become one of those stories and change this country with us. If you like what we're doing, and if you like March for Our Lives and our message and what we stand for, I'm sorry, but there's one more text code you have to go for, so please take out your phones. Now, what you have to do is text the word change, C-H-A-N-G-E, tough word, I know, to 97779. I'll say that one more time, the word change to 97779. Thank you so much.
Hey everyone. Been here a couple hours. I can say that I love Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's an amazing place. The food is great. And I love the energy. You know, I came to the front and I saw the mural, and it's a powerful piece of art. For the fact that I saw it and instantly I connected with it. And I think that's the message of the Road to Change. How we go to different places in this country, and we know that gun violence has many lenses, but at the end of the day, we're all connected by it. Something I've learned while traveling with the Road to Change and the March for Our Lives students is that we all have two common things. Number one is that we all want to protect our loved ones and the ones that we care about. Number two is that the common enemy is fear. And when I looked at this and I connected with it and I looked at the students who painted it, I knew that although I came from a different place, although I came from a different background, I knew the pain and I felt the anger, I felt the sadness, I felt the tears. My throat started to choke up because I felt it. I felt it. And it's important that when you feel that connection, when we're in this space, when you feel that energy, when you're with people who want to do something, that we fight. This is a fight that's going to be won by love and peace, not by hatred. We need to come together and be aware that there's violence through different lenses, that, you know, people who are facing deportation every day could be victims to gun violence, that black and brown kids who live in inner cities, who don't have the funding in their public school education system, who don't have the quality housing, who don't have quality health care, are impacted by gun violence, and they have to go every day outside and have that trauma with them. We have to understand that every single day when a kid goes to school now, they need to fear for their lives because of the mass shootings that have been going on in our schools, in our concerts, and it's just all over the place in this country. And if we're gonna fight this, it's under one coalition, one team, and that team is love and power and unity. No matter where you're from, no matter what background, no matter what religion, sexuality, we're all one. And all I can say is that I'm grateful, and I will continue to, you know, travel and fight for what I believe, because I'm here because I lost a friend. And everywhere I go, I remember him. I remember why I'm doing this. I remember that beyond his death, there's millions of other moms that probably felt the same pain like his did. I know that families are broken by the loss of their loved ones, of their child. And the energy here reminds me that there's hope and that we could win this battle. Yeah. Thank you.
How's everybody doing today? Awesome. My name is Bria. I'm a 17-year-old rising senior, and I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Hi. And I was going to be very positive, and I'm trying to be. But this, connecting with all the youth here and all the individuals in the crowd, I see your faces looking back at me, and I see hope in your eyes and changes in your hearts, because we were fighting for the same purpose, to save our lives. And that's something that we are entitled to have. Our lives begin to end the day that we become silent about the things that matter. Our lives begin to end the day that we become silent about the things that matter. MLK said that, delivering his speech, and I think about that every day, because I can't sit here and hear all the stories of gun violence within my community and be silent about it, because that's what they want me to be. Growing up, I've seen bodies on the floor, like you were talking about, with the white cover, the blue lips, my friends being shot and killed, never getting the justice that they deserved. So I stand on this platform speaking for their justice, saying their stories, and bringing them what they want, because they could have been here standing here with me. They could have been here standing here with me saying the exact same thing. But I'm standing here with you guys because you guys feel the pain, and we share that pain, and we will share it with everyone standing right here. I'm from an inner city, and gunshots are conditioned. They're a tradition, they're reality. And that's a reality that I refuse to indulge in. I refuse to make my own label. I refuse to let my children live in when I have them, because it's my community. It's my community, and I refuse to take on that reality. So sitting on this platform, speaking for all the Trayvon Martins out there, all the Dontre Hamiltons, all the Sandra Blands, because they would die to be here to speak for their lives. Say her name. Say all the names. Say Parkland's name. Say all the school shootings names. Say all the inner city gun violence names, because they're humans too. We're not a statistic living in a racially oppressive box confined. Because we're here, we're fighting for our lives. We're fighting to strive and be students. We're fighting to destroy the label. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want any one of you guys to be a statistic. We all have the same goal and the same purpose, because we're all human and we all love each other, just like Ramon was saying. We feel the love in our hearts, and I see the hope in your eyes, because we're going to get that goal. A bullet sees no color and a bullet sees no face. Thank you. So, I guess I'm ending the program. I just want to acknowledge this mural one more time. Can we just step back and let them just view this mural, please? Applaud it. It's beautiful. These are stories being painted on this mural right now. These are youth speaking for their friends, talented and artistic youth. Do not let this conversation of gun violence end here. We need to talk about it leaving this platform, talk about it with our friends and our families and those who have opposing view sites than us. So please enjoy your time, talk to the students, listen to the youth, have some food, listen to music, go to the merch table. We have awesome merch from March for Our Lives. Get registered to vote, and let's change the narrative. People, come